The streets of Kyiv are empty. Sandbags everywhere. It's almost like a World War II city with hedgehogs, roadblocks, tank obstacles, armored column obstacles all across Kyiv, of course manned by army and militia men. There is this fear that there is an imminent airstrike or a missile strike that's likely to take place. Air defense systems, air raid sirens almost through the day and night. We bring you this ground report from Kyiv.
From a bustling capital,
People here enjoying an evening out, street music, a drama, enthralling audiences here.
to a ghost town, to the latest battle frontier.
Any steel plant, any welding plant, any iron, any industry that's engaged with any iron works, they have stopped everything. All that they're manufacturing are these hedgehogs, these barriers, and these are extremely crucial. This is iron. It's a cross, this is a barrier. Their aim is to block the advance of the Russian tanks and the Russian armored personnel carriers.
The city, Kyiv, has changed drastically in just days. Air raid sirens are a constant.
That's an air raid siren going up once again, which means an air attack is imminent. That's an air raid siren going up here in Kyiv, and this is the heart of Kyiv. So if an air raid siren is going up here, it could point to perhaps an incoming hostile. It could be an aircraft that's coming in. It could be, a missile coming in. We do not know. But the air raid siren is just going off here in Kyiv.
Streets are completely empty. Checkpoints and roadblocks dot the capital.
There are personnel around me. What you can also see is sandbags being put all over this place. Even as you and I speak, this is Kyiv bracing for an imminent air attack. Volunteers are coming forward, as you see in these images. Now, these are gunny bags filled with sand, and they are being stacked up one on top of the other. This is full of sand that's been brought into this area, and one after the other, this place is being stacked up.
The Russian forces are already near Irpin, a suburb bordering Kyiv. Russian missiles are not even sparing civilians at Irpin. Kyiv is surrounded. A 60-kilometer long Russian convoy is parked just outside the capital. A ferocious all-out attack on Kyiv may be a matter of moments.
At the Freedom Square here in Kyiv, Ukrainians coming together to help mobilize and support their forces to ensure that the Russian forces are not able to breach this capital city of Ukraine.
With a final push, the Russians hope to gain control of the capital. How long can the capital stand free? With Gaurav Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv battle zone, Bureau Report, India Today.
For the first time, India Today gets you how the soldiers are reacting to this combat. Soldiers on ground, Ukrainian soldiers. India Today spoke to one of the commanders manning a very crucial sector here of Kyiv. Now, the commander is in charge of protecting an entire area. They're ready for war, but they're looking for peace. I spoke to one of the commanders who said they have their anti-tank guided missiles, they have their rocket-propelled grenades and the launchers, they have small arms. They're looking for bigger weapons, but more than that, they're looking for peace. We are currently in an underground bunker with soldiers of the Ukrainian army preparing for the defense of Kyiv. And look at the weapons. This, of course, is the symbol of Ukraine. The soldier, the officer, is armed with an AK series assault rifle, has his grenade, also has an RPG. They have their rocket-propelled grenades with them, RPG with them. They're also getting the ATGMs or the anti-tank guided missiles and additional surface-to-air missiles. For security reasons, the officer does not want to be named or the battalion to be named. But let me begin by asking him, how confident are you about the defense of Kyiv? Are you strong to be able to resist the advance of the Russian army?
Was jest такой сила, ви можете останавливать русскую армию, ви себя верите на этом?
Да, ми віримо в себе, ми будемо захищатися всіми можливими силами. Русські до нас прийшли на нашу землю, руйнують наші будинки, знищують наші сім'ї, дітки маленькі в школах, жінки ховаються в підвалах. Те, що вони так собі подумали, що вони таке можуть робити, та не буде воно так. Ми всі взяли зброю, всі чоловіки, усі жінки, і будемо захищати свою землю, свою територію, свою школу, свій будинок. І так, як вони це думають, хвора їхня уява, воно так не буде, бо ми українці. Всі люди об'єдналися, несуть хто їсти, хто пити, хто машини дає безкоштовно, щоб хлопці тільки виграли цю війну і назад загнали росіян і стали на своїх кордонах. І все це скоріше закінчилося, бо несправедливість така зараз, що їхні ракети, їхні танки, їхні самольоти бомблять мирних людей. Вони падають на будинки, і там згинуть наші українські матері, діти, чоловіки. І всі об'єдналися, взяли зброю, видали зброю. І всі будемо захищати свою землю.
ये बोल रहे हैं कि देखिए रशिया ने समझा था कि हम यहाँ पर आएंगे, उन्होंने हमारी जमीन पर पांव रखा है, हम अपने देश की रक्षा कर सकते हैं। उन्होंने हमारे घरों पर बम फेंके हैं, रॉकेट फेंके हैं, औरतों को बच्चों को मारा है। उन्होंने सोचा था वो जीत जाएंगे। हम लोग एकजुट हो चुके हैं सब। हमें जीतना आसान नहीं है, हमें कोई नहीं जीत सकता। हम अपने बच्चों की, अपनी फैमिली की, अपने घरों की, हम सबकी रक्षा करेंगे और ऐसा नहीं हो सकेगा कि वो हमसे चले जाएं, हमसे हमारा देश ले जाएं। बोले हमारे इस समय हम सब लोग एकजुट हो चुके हैं। कोई खाने को दे रहा है, कोई गाड़ी दे रहा है, कोई कुछ दे रहा है, एक दूसरे की मदद कर रहे हैं बिना पैसों की। ये सब फ्री है, तो हमें नहीं लगता कि हमसे कोई जीत पाएगा। हम उनका मुकाबला अपनी पूरी हैसियत के साथ, जितनी हम में हिम्मत है, हम करेंगे।
So this is how Kyiv is being defended. The defenders of Kyiv. Now we are currently in an underground bunker. You can look around the kind of weapons and systems that are flowing in terms of some of the equipment that is inside. But what all equipment? So you have your small arms, you have your grenades, you have your RPGs. But what more do you require?
Что еще надо? Какие оружия еще вам нужны?
Нам потрібно, щоб закрили повітря, щоб сюди не могли летіти їхні самольоти. От. А зброя нам не потрібна, нам потрібен мир і щоб нам дали спокійно жити. І я думаю, що ваше керівництво все зробить, щоб дійсно скоріше це все закінчилося, і ми повернулися до нормального життя, повернули свій Крим, повернули свій Донбас, Луганськ, Донецьк, повернули Молдова свою територію Придністров'я, Грузію свою територію. От. І ми хочемо спокійно жити. І загнати їх назад в ту Росію, і хай вони там сидять в своєму п'ятачку. А ми хочемо спокійно жити, будувати і ростити своїх діток і сім'ї.
कहता जी हम पहले तो चाहते हैं कि ये एयर स्पेस बंद कर दे रशिया के लिए, ताकि जो उनके विमान उड़कर आ रहे हैं और हमारे को नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हैं वो ना पहुंचाए। दूसरी बात ये बोले हमें वेपन्स नहीं, हमें प्यार और पीस चाहिए है। हम चाहते हैं कि हम अपने घरों में वापस जाएं। जो दनबास के रहने वाले हैं, लुगांस के रहने वाले हैं, वो अपने घरों में वापस जाएं। हमें लड़ाई नहीं चाहिए और हम आपके हिंदुस्तान से भी रिक्वेस्ट करते हैं कि आप कोशिश कीजिए कि ये वार जो है युद्ध पे विराम लगे। जो लोग जॉर्जिया का जो हिस्सा चला गया है, जो मोल्दाविया का हिस्सा चला गया, हम वो भी चाहते हैं कि उन सब लोगों को अपनी जो जगह है वापस मिले और रशिया की जो जगह है, जो उनका स्पेस है, वो अपनी जगह पर रहे, ना किसी के ऊपर अटैक करे, ना किसी की जमीन वो खोसने की, छीनने की कोशिश करे। हम यही चाहते हैं।
This battle is becoming extremely intense at this stage, a war that people on ground say has been inflicted on them. Now, with the restricted amount of arms and ammunition that they have at this point of time, they are fighting. They're fighting with all that they have. How long can they survive with this relentless assault that is taking place? The wave after wave of attacks that's coming in remains the big challenge. India Today, of course, is the only channel to be reporting from ground zero, from the heart of the battle. We're currently in an underground bunker with some of the soldiers who are here defending Kyiv, and we will continue to get you the latest from ground zero, battleground Kyiv. With cameraman Pawan Kumar in Kyiv, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. The situation in Kyiv is worsening. The situation is extremely grim. The forces are fighting the Russians at Ostomel, at Bucha, at Irpin, and some other regions on the outskirts of Kyiv. And the battle is coming home. Of course, the brave warriors of Ukraine, they are fighting the Russian forces. The governor, Oleksiy Kuleba, is extremely confident that they will be able to defend Fortress Kyiv. But there are situations and problems even within. For example, the Russian assault has led to a shortage of gas. There is paucity of electricity. There have been aerial attacks, and the situation is turning grim by the hour. The attack on Kyiv is imminent. This is the map of the Kyiv region, and with us on this special broadcast is Oleksiy Kuleba, the governor of Kyiv. My colleague Shweta Singh and I are posing some questions to him about the threat that Kyiv faces at this point of time. Governor, the attack is coming in on this map. Can you tell us where all are the Russian forces? Where is the main attack coming from at this point of time?
Our main attack came from Zhytomyr district and Vyshgorod district.
Okay.
Are you worried for the civilians, the people who are living here?
One more. Yes, of course. We worried about everyone who have problem living here, yeah, and we have register each people, each problem, and we will find all of them, and we will help all of them.
Sir, electricity and gas, that apparently is a problem in Mariupol, in some other places. What is the situation in Kyiv? Are you fearing that electricity and gas could be a problem for the people still in Kyiv?
I will give you inclusive information as you like. 1 hour ago we have a problem with gas because we have a damage from airplane, Russian rocket, and we make decision, and nearly 100 people will have no gas at all because that's problem. We have to ask all the world to close the sky from the Russian rockets.
And there are reports that a lot of civilians have come back to Ukraine, to Kyiv. How many would you say?
More than 100,000 people crossed the border to Kyiv. It's all men that will fight for our country.
Governor, the attack, we are told, is happening at Hostomel, in Irpin, in Bucha. How much time, in your appreciation, before this part of Kyiv where we are, how safe is this, and how safe is this likely to remain?
It's very simple. Never. Never.
So the threat is real. The threat to Kyiv is real. Whether it's the artillery, whether it's the rockets or the air attack, and this is where the governor says they will stay and defend Kyiv, and people are coming in for it. For talking to India Today, Governor, many thanks. With Shweta Singh and camera person Pawan Kumar in Kyiv, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. India Today is the only channel to be reporting from ground zero on the conflict. We have our contributor Rajesh Pawar right at the front lines of this battle in Irpin, where there is a fierce war on between Russia and Ukraine. And this is now not just restricted to missiles and rockets, but artillery fire, even tank fire and small arm exchanges that are taking place. We bring you this ground report from Irpin. This is scary. This is right in the heart of action. Rajesh Pawar with this India Today exclusive.
The city that has seen maximum airstrikes in Ukraine so far. The city that continues to bear the brunt of Russian shelling. Russia's non-stop aerial bombardment on the city of Irpin, just 25 kilometers from Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. India Today reports amidst the airstrikes and bombardment.
It's very close. It was just on top of us. Everybody on the ground. Everybody on the ground there. Bomb very close to us has fell down. Everybody's on the ground. Everybody's on the ground here. And this very close. It's like just a few meters away. Everybody's on the ground running now. Continuous firing taking place. Continuous firing taking place. Continuous firing taking place. This bomb just... It's very close. It's very close, and that bombing is coming closer to us. Everybody's running now to take place. The cars, whatever they have, panic everywhere. Even militia and military is running. Everybody is running now. All vehicles leaving. Panic everywhere. Bombs falling very close. There is smoke rising from everywhere. There's a big bloom of black smoke that side. Then there is smoke this side, and then here. These are the places, and there's a BMV coming, an infantry tank vehicle coming, I think, from the border where the fighting is taking place right now. There is black smoke emanating from all these buildings, all this area where the fighting is taking place. Thick bloom that side of the black smoke, and from the city, many places, and this is where attack is taking place, and I'm being warned to run away from this place. Firing taking place, bombs are blasting, and these are civilians running from this area who are left behind. There's black smoke rising there in the buildings, and the bombs are being fired, tanks are firing onto the buildings here. And these are civilians which are evacuating this area. They are evacuating this area in hurry. They are running around. And these are people who are left behind. And now they are fleeing the area. Continuous firing is taking place. And black smoke is rising from the buildings in the background. There's a rocket fire everywhere. And this is in Irpin right now. Continuous firing from both sides is going on. Since we came here, it's continuous firing by rockets and by tanks, and whatever civilians were left, they're fleeing this area. Buses have been placed. Black smoke is rising there from the buildings.
Irpin, a city neighboring Kyiv, has been left in ruins in many places after being bombed by Russian Sukhoi Su-25 jets as well as cruise missiles.
Bucha district, that's it in Bucha district. That's Bucha district, and there we are. Smoke's just, this is where it fell just now. You see the smoke rising just 50 meters from here. That's where the bomb fell right now. 50 meters from here, if you can see, that's where the round has hit. The rocket has hit right now.
Citizens are evacuating from Irpin as fire, fear and flares grip the city.
The most affected in the war are the old, elderly, and at this age they have to leave their house and move out. This old woman is barely able to walk, but this is the tragedy of war. They have to leave their houses and move out now. And right now, these bombs are falling inside the city.
Yes.
And the Russian soldiers inside.
They shot people, houses, mini houses, towers, everything.
Where will you go now? Where will you go now?
I don't know.
They think that it's stopped and we just sit and continue sitting, but now it's...
They thought this war will not last for too long. Maybe it will get over 1 or 2 days. So they continued staying home till the time shelling started around their head. Did you hear shells fall, bombs fall on the house?
Вы слышали, как падали бомбы?
Many. And he is the grandson of this old man. Why did you stay back? Why you did not leave the house when the bombing started?
Because there is no people who gonna evacuate us, and we're sitting with them, etc. And we're still waiting our grandfather because he is sitting in Gostomel. It's near to Irpin too, but with other side. And for 3 days he don't come to Romanka, and we're still waiting him for today when he can go with us.
And you look like normal. You're laughing and smiling. Is it normal? Is it okay?
Yeah, because in the war you need to find positive. There is something negative.
I agree. You need to find positive in the war as well.
These are civilians escaping now, just firing, and whoever left over there, they are escaping now with whatever they have in a panic, and they'll be put into this bus. The old man, he's also leaving. Look, everybody's leaving. The people who stayed back behind, now they're being helped by... Bus full of people who are left there, left behind.
We are 1 kilometer away from where the fighting is taking place between the Russian forces and the Ukrainian forces, and this is the last checkpoint of the militia here. There's a bomb blast. You can hear the bombs are being fired, the rockets are being fired, and these are civilians which are being evacuated by the militia in this area. These are all the civilians which are fleeing this area, now being evacuated by the militia, and this whole area is swarming with people with weapons in civil dress, some of them black dresses, and they're all militia. Army is a kilometer ahead from here, and we can hear the rockets firing or the tanks firing on each other. These are buses which have been placed to take the civilians away, and all these people are fleeing this area. Who stayed back for whatever reason are now leaving the area because intense fighting is taking place in this place, and this is Irpin.
On day 11 of the invasion, one of the most visible aspects of the military operation, the fury being unleashed on the city of Irpin. With Rajesh Pawar in Irpin, Ukraine, Bureau Report, India Today.
On day 11 of this intense battle between Russia and Ukraine, Kharkiv was targeted once again. Airstrikes, missile strikes, rocket strikes, and the Russian forces, after gaining control both of Chernobyl and of the nuclear power reactors at Zaporizhia, are now very close to another very crucial power station, and this time in Kyiv. There is alarm here in Ukraine. Is Russia trying to control the energy supply to Ukraine? Will energy, will power, gas, fuel, all of these be used as a weapon to bring Ukraine down to its knees? We bring you this ground report.
Airstrikes, shellings, residential buildings on fire, captured cities reduced to rubble, thick smoke engulfing from buildings. Ukraine is bleeding. One of the worst hit cities is Kharkiv. Attacks by Russian troops have left numerous buildings burning and some in ruins. A market brimming with people till a month ago is now charred. In what looks like the aftermath of an airstrike, northern city of Ukraine, Chernihiv, houses witnessed massive fire, with several houses getting destroyed completely. The battle for the Ukrainian capital goes ballistic. A video released by Ukraine shows badly damaged buildings after a Russian airstrike in the suburbs of capital Kyiv. But the civilians have rolled up their sleeves and taken to the streets to prepare roadblocks, hedgehogs, metal spikes planted to block the Russian troops. Russian troops have taken control over the city of Skastia in the Luhansk region. The scenes in the city are that of devastation and destruction. Hostomel, that witnessed destruction of the world's largest aircraft, had a fresh fire in its building after a possible Russian airstrike. Messages of hatred, disgust and intense anger paint Ukraine's billboards. Those who come at us with a sword will die by a sword. Now all hopes of peace pinned on the third round of talks scheduled on Monday. But will there be a headway? Will a safe passage for civilians be agreed upon? Will the bloodbath on streets come to an end? Bureau Report, India Today.
After taking control of Chernobyl and of Zaporozhye is a nuclear power plant. There are 6 reactors there. There are 15 in all in Ukraine. And 50% of Ukraine's power supply is nuclear energy. The Russian forces are now marching towards Kyiv. Now, this Mykolaiv area is extremely crucial, one, for the defense of Kyiv and also for power supply to this entire region. Many argue that Russia's President Vladimir Putin is following a plan. Not only is he cutting off supplies from the south, the attack comes from the north. Is there also an attempt to choke Ukraine's power supply, use power as a weapon of war to choke this country and to bring it down to its knees? We bring you this report.
One of the most mysterious images in 11 days of the invasion of Ukraine. Russian tanks surrounding the site of Chernobyl nuclear disaster. The world wondered what Russia wanted with the ghosts of the world's worst nuclear accident, especially when Ukraine has 4 active and functional nuclear power facilities. Hours after the capture, it was revealed that the Chernobyl site is still staffed and maintained, given it is still hugely sensitive and strategic. And Putin settled any lingering doubts a week later when his forces surrounded and shelled Ukraine's Zaporozhye nuclear facility, Europe's largest. Amidst the cat-and-mouse and claim war, the facility is now almost certainly in Russian hands. With Zaporozhye under Russian control, Putin's forces are now said to be approaching a third nuclear facility in Ukraine. The Yuzhno-Kryansk nuclear power plant, 120 kilometers from Mykolaiv, a city which itself has been besieged by Russian forces. The 2 other nuclear facilities at Kaminsky and Irpin are not besieged yet, but could be on target too.
This is systematic targeting of nuclear assets, and God forbid if one of the 6 nuclear reactors was hit, even if by a misfire of a missile or a rocket, the impact would have been 10 times worse than Chernobyl. And the fact that President Zelensky is saying that Russia knows the coordinates and Russia is going after these targets deliberately.
By taking control of Ukraine's nuclear facilities, which supply over half of Ukraine's electricity and power needs, is President Putin looking to throttle the country into submission, with the ability to thrust vast areas of the country into darkness.
If Russia says that they do not want to impact and affect civilians, then this could mean a lot of impact in terms of casualties because of the weather here in Ukraine. Secondly, they've taken over very important key nuclear installations. I was speaking to somebody who keeps a keen watch on what's really happening on the ground and on these facilities, and he said that if anything were to happen to key installations on the east end of Ukraine, it will not just impact Ukraine, it is going to impact Russia.
We are now all not calm and asking and frightened please, it will take not only about the Ukrainian disaster, but it will take the whole world into this conflict.
The capture of Ukraine's nuclear facilities runs parallel to a steady escalation in nuclear temperatures between Russia and NATO.
I ordered Defense Minister and Chief of the General Staff to put Russian army deterrence forces on high combat alert.
With Moscow saying it has put its nuclear forces on high alert in response to statements from Ukraine that NATO was getting directly involved in the war. If global heat over the crisis isn't already super high, sections of Russian media have added fuel to the nuclear fire with a sensational suggestion that the United States has secretly supplied Ukraine with weapons-grade plutonium, helping it mine uranium, and looking to turn Ukraine into a nuclear weapons nation. Is the world headed towards a major geopolitical meltdown with the nuclear shockwaves between Kyiv and Moscow? With Gaurav Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
Russia has fiercely escalated the airstrikes using futuristic jets in multiple Ukrainian cities, preparing the ground for a full-scale ground invasion as it appears, with little resistance. We decode some of the top Russian jets involved in all these aerial strikes.
Heart-stopping images of a Russian airstrike caught on camera. The first footage of an actual aerial bombing in 11 days of a conflict that's been represented largely by ground attacks. But only an hour after the bombing of Irpin went out on India Today, this stunning 32-second clip capturing a Russian attack helicopter being shot down by a Ukrainian shoulder-fired missile exploded from the battlefield north of Kyiv. In the last 48 hours, the air power aspect has taken on a fearsome new primacy, with aircraft much more visible and claims of Russian pilots taken captive. Both Ukraine and Russia have been old Soviet aviation powerhouses, and the war has generated enormous interest in the warbirds both countries have deployed over their blazing battlefields. The most visible Russian aircraft in the Ukraine crisis is the Sukhoi Su-25, a tough old Soviet-era bird that's taken on most attack duties.
Let me show you what these aircraft are that are doing the bombing and that the Ukrainians claim that they've actually shot down. These are strikes very close to Kyiv. The jet dropping the bombs is called a Sukhoi 25. It's a Sukhoi Su-25. It's a ground strike aircraft. It is designed for close air support to ground forces, and there are huge ground forces of the Russian army that's, outside on the outskirts of Kyiv right now. These aircraft are designed and capable of low-altitude bombings. That's why you saw them captured so clearly on mobile camera. Their weapons include strike missiles, bombs, rockets. They've so far been used in many, many different operations around the world, including and most notably in Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, and Sudan, but of course in many other operations, including in North Africa as well.
The most visible Russian helicopter in the war is the Mi-24. Seen here being dramatically shot down by a Ukrainian shoulder-fired missile. These are sturdy, heavily armed and armored helicopters deployed to support ground troops and destroy tanks and other ground targets. The Mi-24's export variant, the Mi-35, is in service with the Indian Air Force too. The third Russian aircraft type seen in the skies over Ukraine is the Sukhoi Su-34, a supersonic medium-range fighter bomber used for tactical strikes in contested airspace. Su-34s have been seen in the air over eastern and north Ukraine. The other Russian attack helicopter on combat duties in Ukraine is the Kamov Ka-52. These images of one such helicopter made to force land went viral in the early days of the invasion. Several more are set to be flying sorties in the northern border. Also clearly visible in the skies over Ukraine are Russian Mi-8 utility helicopters captured here in this airborne assault on the Hostomel air base north of Kyiv in the early days of the invasion. These workhorse helicopters are a precursor to the Mi-17 that India currently operates. Ukraine has made the huge claim that its air defense systems have shot down 2 giant Il-76 transport jets, though there has been no visual proof of this. While the iconic Russian Tu-95 hasn't been seen in the skies over Ukraine or even nearby, the high-flying propeller-driven aircraft has figured in the war of claims between both sides, with Ukraine saying its air defense forces have managed to shoot down one of these giant airplanes. As air power becomes more pronounced in Ukraine, and as NATO continues to refuse Ukraine's plea for the imposition of a no-fly zone, could airstrikes define the second week of Putin's invasion? With Rajesh Pawar in Irpin and Gaurav Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India.
Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin are the center of attraction since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This report will tell you everything that you need to know about the two Volodymyrs.
Where do they sit? How do they sit? How do they communicate? One is evidently a people's person. The other, should we say, keeps distance. And how should they do so if all the two men were to negotiate directly? That is a $1 million question.
You don't want to leave now. Sit down with me at the negotiation table. I'm available. Sit with me, but not at 30 meters. Like you welcomed Macron and Scholz and others. I'm your neighbor. You don't need to keep me at 30-meter distance. I don't bite. I'm a normal man. Sit down with me. Let's talk. What are you afraid of?
These images have drawn ridicule and raised eyebrows. Not because Putin does this with everyone, but only with a few. Here with the president of Kazakhstan, an ally.
Pilots.
And here with the crew members of the Russian airlines.
With that, I think it would be more useful.
The distance seems to be growing bigger every day. But jokes apart, the need, as the world is urging, is to now sit down on the negotiating table and talk.